Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. Donald Trump is trying to establish a new normal in America. You praise him in public, or you suffer the consequences. Trump supposedly stands up for the American worker. But this week, Trump attacked an American worker, the president of United Steelworkers 1999 in Indiana, a man named Chuck Jones. And Trump made this attack in 2 tweets. On Wednesday at 7:41 p.m., Trump said, quote, Chuck Jones, who is the president of United Steelworkers 1999, has done a terrible job representing workers. No wonder companies flee the country. Trump followed that up an hour later with, if United Steelworkers 1999 was any good, they would have kept those jobs in Indiana. Spend more time working, less time talking, reduce dues. Then Trump supporters backed up Trump by threatening the local union leader in a long string of personal phone calls, saying, I know what kind of car you drive, I know you've got kids, I know where you live. That kind of harassment is a threat to Americans' freedom of speech. Here are the facts. Donald Trump did something terrific. Yes, something terrific. He saved between 730 and 800 jobs at a Carrier gas furnace plant in Indianapolis. Great. But 550 Carrier jobs are still going to Mexico from that one plant. Let me repeat that. 550 Carrier jobs are still going to Mexico from that one plant. But Trump went in front of an audience at the Indianapolis plant and said that he had saved 1,100 jobs. He raised people's hopes that nobody was getting a pink slip. That figure was false, and somebody was painfully aware of the real numbers. Somebody sitting in the 3rd row. It was Chuck Jones, head of the United Steelworkers local, who had negotiated with Carrier to save those jobs. Jones had offered Carrier $23 million a year in concessions. But that wasn't enough for Carrier. According to Jones, Carrier negotiators said that union workers would have to accept pay below the U.S. minimum wage to match the savings that the company expected from a move to Mexico. In fact, Carrier wanted to save $75 million. What's worse, the Carrier negotiators told Indiana Governor Mike Pence not to even bother to offer them tax concessions to save those jobs. Not to even bother. In other words, Donald Trump's soon-to-be vice president also failed to keep the Carrier jobs in Indiana, which means by Trump's standards, Michael Pence was doing, quote, a terrible job, close quote. Paper! I can't stand it. All right. The man who succeeded in saving 730 to 800 jobs was Donald Trump himself. Great. Why was he able to pull this off? In part because Trump's high profile in the press allows him to generate hundreds of millions of dollars worth of bad publicity that would lose Carrier an awful lot more than $75 million. And in part, Trump was able to pull this off because of his position in the bully pulpit of the presidency. The presidency that owes its existence, at least a president that owes his ability to take the office to you and me. But Donald Trump lies and exaggerates to make himself look good. When Trump claimed to have saved 1,100 jobs, local 1999's Chuck Jones saw that the figure was exaggerated by 50%. And he saw that a whopping 550 jobs were still headed south of the border. That made Jones angry. He said that Trump was, quote, lying his fucking ass off, close quote. And Chuck Jones said that to the press. So he was punished. Not just by Trump himself, but by Trump supporters. The real danger in Donald Trump's attack on Jones is in something Trump said in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Tuesday night, before this all began. when Trump was talking about his appointment of retired Marine General James N. Mad Dog Mattis. Legally, Mattis, who has only been out of the service for 3 years, is not allowed to serve in Trump's cabinet. Legally. He hasn't been out of the military long enough, which means that Mattis will need a waiver from Congress to be Trump's Secretary of Defense. Trump said to his rally crowd in Fayetteville Tuesday night, quote, "He'll get that waiver, right?" Then Trump added something really dangerous. "Oh," he said, "if he didn't get that waiver, there are going to be a lot of angry people." Trump was adding to the tone that he had already set during earlier rallies when he said about one protester, "I'd like to punch him in the face." And when he said about Hillary Clinton, "If she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is. I don't know." The angry people Trump seems to be calling forth are vigilantes, bully boys, Trump stormtroopers. Like the 28-year-old father of two who fired an assault rifle in the Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria in Northwest Washington. The shoot-up was motivated by a phony story saying that Hillary Clinton was part of a child sex ring, a sex ring that used the pizzeria as a headquarters. And the angry people Trump seems to be calling for are the many people who called Chuck Jones, the local union leader in Indiana, telling him, "I know what kind of car you drive, I know where you've got kids, I know where you live." Donald Trump needs an education on the First Amendment. The First Amendment guarantees the right to freedom of speech. There is no room for Nazi-style brown shirts and presidential vigilantes in America. There is no room for "we know what kind of car you drive, we know where you live, we know where your children are." Now the next few months will tell if in America there is room for a president who calls on his followers to get angry and punish those they disagree with. That is against the Constitution. The next few months will tell if there is room in the First Amendment for calls to violence from the likes of Donald Trump. This is Howard the Humongous, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make, or want to know why? Ask how. Oh my God, that's the phone. And now for that slazy, slimy, sleazy, little slippery off button.